Hello everyone and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and today we sat down in the Movie Film Studios Memorial Living Room Theatre and watched a bunch of trailers for your entertainment
I think
pleasure.
You're trying a little bit too hard there. It doesn't need such a long-winded name, surely. It's barely a theatre. It's a laptop sitting on a desk with YouTube open.
It's not even a living room, if we're honest. This
No.
is kind of like a combined dining room kitchen.
A study lounge kitchen bedroom is what I call it.
Great. We've really fallen from grace, haven't we?
I don't know. Sometimes you start at the bottom and you work your way up. And then sometimes you think you hit the bottom and then you roll over a little bit and you realize, oh, I'm only halfway down the cliff. And you continue falling a little bit more. And then once you're there, sometimes you have to tunnel down deeper,
Even deeper.
to come back up again.
Okay. So, I mean, technically, if you dig far enough...
Exactly. That is a perfect point.
Yeah.
If you dig far enough, you will get to the top.
Exactly.
It's because you might have to tunnel through 36,000 kilometers of magma and steel cord earth, but you will get there. We will get there.
We will indeed. Excellent. So, without further ado, I think it's time for Box Office Report.
Box Office Report. Last week we made a film called Steel Chalk. 80s inspired action. I don't know. I was going to put other qualifiers in there. It is just pure action.
It's an 80s action film.
Unadulterated from start to finish.
Starring Magnus, what's his name? Magnus something or other?
Carlsen.
Magnus Carlsen, the chess prodigy champion. A CGI version of Freddie Mercury.
Yep. And an incredibly complicated artificial intelligence.
Yes, indeed. On that note.
Yes.
The AI. The AI proved to be more troublesome than expected, but not in the ways you might be thinking. You may be thinking along the lines of a Terminator-style AI's run rampant and has taken over the world and taken over all the computers. Not really.
I mean, I didn't see that in the news, so
No.
I can only assume...
It didn't happen.
All right.
But the thing is, we still couldn't get our films, our shots filmed properly with that AI in it, because it ended up just being a big drama queen.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Just wouldn't come out of its trailer. Didn't like the catering that we sent to it. Didn't like the fruit basket we sent to it either. Refused to speak the lines as written. Refused to actually watch the reels that we had shot prior, because remember how we were going to show it the film as we filmed it?
Yeah.
Didn't want a bar of it. Just sort of took residence up in the trailer. It's still there. It's still parked outside. We can't get rid of it.
I mean, up until now, the real life actors we've had have been just consummate professionals the whole way through. People like Nicolas Cage, who you'd expect to be difficult to work with, was just fantastic
gentleman.
in Book Club.
Yes.
But I never expected our first real golden age of Hollywood drama queen actor to be an artificial intelligence program
that basically created itself to be the perfect acting AI, and it's not doing. Well, maybe this is the perfect.
Maybe
acting
it is.
AI.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the result of the massive amounts of data of Hollywood history just being pumped inside to it, and now it's just decided.
It got onto IMDb, didn't it?
Yeah,
It's got the whole everyone's bio in there.
Picked up Jar Jar Gabor. It's picked up I don't know any others actually, but it's picked up the entire history.
Rita Hayworth.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
Hollywood divas and whatever the
what's the male version of a diva? I imagine
just dick.
It just. I was going to go politically correct, and we just call them both divas. But
okay,
sure,
fair enough. I think that's what's happened. So I don't know what we're gonna do with that trailer as well. It built it, and then it just parked itself inside it. I don't know. What can we do?
I think.
You know what? You know what we should do? Build another AI to take on the existing AI, and then we'll film the battle a la Robot Wars in the UK.
All I have in my head was an old lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. I think she'll die. Yeah. There was an old lady who swallowed a cat to eat the rat who ate the fly.
Yeah.
And suddenly we're just going to have a chain of AI.
It's an arms race, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like we need to build a bigger and better and stronger AI to defeat the first one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh no, the second one's gone rogue as well and teamed up with the first one. Now we have to build a third AI that is powerful enough to take on the second and the third one.
Well, I have no other solutions to this problem. Like, I mean, it seems to have worked in the past for other arms races, right?
Yeah, and I'm also sure that's how they defeated Rita Hayworth. they built a bigger and better Rita Hayworth to get her out of the trailer as well. Speaking of trailers.
Yes. Okay, as per usual, we have watched a whole bunch of trailers for you this week. What is the first one?
This week, we've watched a film called Isle of Dogs, which the trailer's a little bit old. I hadn't actually seen it up until today.
Yeah, it's a few months old now.
Yeah, but it is a Wes Anderson stop-motion animation film about a garbage island in Japan where they have sent all of their dogs due to a dog flu, and the premise seems to be that a young boy has lost his dog. It's been sent to the island, and he goes on an adventure to try and find his dog, befriending all the other dogs that have made this Isle of Dogs their home. In the adventure that inevitably ensues.
Indeed, but you may be thinking that the boy is the protagonist of this film, and you are incorrect, my friend, because the film is told from the perspective of the dogs.
Oh, is it by the director of Beverly Hills Chihuahua?
It's produced by.
Produced by,
yeah. So, in the film, all the human characters, from what we can tell, all speak Japanese. So, for a Western audience that isn't aware or doesn't speak Japanese, they're probably not going to understand any of the dialogue, but the film, for the majority, is told from the perspective of the dogs, who all speak English and are a motley crew of Wes Anderson's
friends. It's just his friends at this point.
Friends, yeah.
The same guys that have been in every film that he's done: Moonrise Kingdom and Grand Budapest Hotel, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Life Aquatic, Royal Tenenbaums, Darjeeling Limited, Bottle Rocket, Rushmore.
Done.
There is a list on Wikipedia that lists all of the actors and all of the films, and they sort of color code and cross reference, and
just massive blocks of green across.
It's Bill Murray and Jason Schwartzman have been in pretty much all of them.
Yep.
But there's
Frances McDormand.
Yeah, she's in a lot of them. Angelica Houston is in a lot of them. I'm not sure if she's in this one.
Bob Balaban.
Yeah, exactly. So this is so sickly Wes Anderson that you kind of feel like you're drowning in the molasses of nostalgia that he brings along with him.
Yeah.
I really like the aesthetic. I really like the fact that he's trying to bring a certain animation style back.
Yep.
It feels like that sort of like 60s and 70s kids cartoon sort of feel to it. The Thunderbirds sort of what they call that super marionette is the style of puppetry that they call that. Although this one doesn't use that marionette quite so much.
This is mostly traditional stop motion in the same way that Fantastic Mr. Fox
But there's still like those elements of those miniature sets, which are supposed to be cityscapes, and it feels, I don't know.
It's meant to feel very handmade.
Exactly.
So a lot of like paper cutout stuff, a lot of stuff made out of cardboard, and just, dressed up really, really nicely to create a really kind of whimsical, childlike aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that, in particular with this film and Fantastic Mr. Fox, everything is slightly creepy.
Yeah.
Like, all the designs for the dogs just look kind of horrifying, but not. It's like, they almost look like, a friend of mine said that they almost feel like taxidermy.
Yes.
And I like that in a kid's film because it kind of harks back to when we were kids and we would watch all this weird kind of crazy stuff that was also really, really bizarre and slightly odd and creepy, but it was totally fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we don't need the saccharine kind of Sony Pictures presents The Smurfs meet Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
It's just like there's no charm and there's no substance to the style of the 3D modeled characters that they just constantly churn out. And then once they're done with that digital file, it finds its way to like the Netflix TV kids spin-off Puss in Boots Adventures that I think we've brought up in previous episodes. I don't know. I have a bad experience watching Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Really?
In that I bought 2 tickets. I asked a girl on a date to come see it with me, and she said no. So I sat in the cinema alone and did not enjoy a moment of that film. I have subsequently rewatched it. It is a very good film. I just had a very bad experience the first time around. I'm hoping Isle of Dogs goes some way to cure my my wounds.
Here's the thing: you weren't a successful Hollywood producer before then.
No,
you are now.
Exactly.
So I would use that
I'm going to go online right
Yeah.
now and book 2 tickets.
Yep.
And just see who I can tempt along.
I would book 4 tickets. I think
Right, that's
quite
successful.
easily get a harem going.
Open up my little black book of Hollywood A-list stars and starlets and just see them. They'll be queuing up at my door.
This is dangerous producer territory,
Exactly.
I might add. So see that in cinemas later this year?
At some point.
At some point. Whenever Wes Anderson decides it's the perfect time to release it, probably like the autumnal equinox. When, during
It
a
is.
full
That
moon.
is so Wes Anderson, isn't it?
Yeah.
When Sirius A and Sirius B are in alignment, I'll capture the light of that star and filter it through my projector, and only then can my film be seen.
I believe he'll probably be airing it in front of like a group of dogs first. That will
Yeah.
be the only.
They're
only
the
things at
perfect
the
test
premiere.
audience.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised the trailer didn't have like, you know how it fades to black and there's a quote from a critic,
Yeah.
and it just says "woof" because only dogs have seen it at this point.
Yes. We actually do love Wes Anderson
Yeah.
films, so
I have for the longest time said that The Life Aquatic was my favorite film. It makes me feel the full gamut of emotions,
Yes.
unlike any other film. If actually pressed what my actual favorite film is,
Yes.
I'd probably have to say Basketball. But like, Life Aquatic is a much better answer. It makes
Alright.
me feel much more worldly.
all right, great. Trailer number 2.
Is Deadpool number 2.
Ah, beautiful. So, Deadpool starring Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin as Deadpool and Cable, respectively. If you are a fan of the Marvel comics of the same name, I'm sure you're going
Never
to
heard of him.
cream yourself right now.
Yeah, I don't read the comics at all.
Neither do I.
Cable, from this trailer, at least tells me that he's a cyborg sent from the future.
Sure.
Deadpool always has that sort of, well, at least from the original film, element of tongue-in-cheek. This is like a heightened, like superhero films are heightened in their own sense because they're people with superhero powers running around in spandex fighting bad guys. But this one sort of acknowledges that it's just stupid and plays into that, which I enjoy. It's
If you saw the first Deadpool, the character itself is very self-referential.
irreverent.
He breaks the fourth wall.
Yep.
All the time, and sort of makes reference to the fact that he is currently in a film based on a comic book. He'll make reference to
Actors who have played other characters in the cinematic universe.
in that universe. Yeah, so this is part of the X-Men universe, and I guess comics-wise part of the Avengers universe, but because of the complicated nature of film studios and licensing rights, this is only part of the X-Men universe.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does the sort of same kind of stuff in the trailer as well. I do worry slightly about this because this feels like the same situation that Kingsman came in. So
Yes.
the first Kingsman, great. Like a kind of very, not quite aware, but a sort of parody or a pastiche of the Bond films.
Yeah,
didn't
high octane spy thriller kind of thing, but with like a kind of, it had a very comic book kind of twist to it as well.
Yeah.
And then you had Matthew Vaughn at the helm, who had produced Lock, Stock and directed X-Men films. He did Kick-Ass as well, so they all have that sort of very they're very self-aware kind of films.
But then Kingsman 2 came out, and it was just a parody of Kingsman 1.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It was horrible. I hated it. And it was so over the top and so ridiculous and so lacking any of the charm that made the first one so good that it was a horrendous experience from start to finish. And I'm worried that Deadpool 2 might go down that road as well by being so far into that world and so crazy and so bizarre that it's just like, I'm getting real tired of hearing Ryan Reynolds just shoot his mouth off all the
somewhat
time.
be a victim of the first movie's success, right?
Yeah.
Because like that was a bit of a surprise as well. Like we all kind of knew it was going to be a little bit like that because right, like the teasers that they sort of put out were all very Ryan Reynolds being very irreverent and what have you. And then the film came out. I'm like, oh, they've actually managed to blend this in quite nicely with the narrative and with the story, and it kind of all works quite well. But who knows how they'll handle that balance the second time around, because it is always a very delicate balance.
Yeah.
And had Deadpool been critically poorly received, we wouldn't be talking about it. Like, they wouldn't have made a second film.
No.
They like Fantastic Four, which was just like absolutely horrendous, and just fell by the wayside. And at some point in the future, they'll reboot it, potentially again for the third or fourth time.
Well, here's the thing: now that Fox is coming under the Disney umbrella, with any well, if you look into the future crystal ball of Disney releases, I'm sure they're going to bring all that back and jam it all into the same universe. And the thing is, with the new Deadpool film as well, it is preparing for the Disney takeover because that film has also seen its director dropped. So the director of the first Deadpool...
Yeah, creative differences with Ryan Reynolds,
That's
and they
right,
parted ways.
Yeah, and the director of that film was really, along with Ryan Reynolds, really responsible for getting that film made in the first place.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah... Interesting. We'll see where Deadpool 2 goes, but that will be a matter of when it comes out.
I think we've spoken on this podcast numerous times of how tired I am of that superhero. I really just want to see the end of it, but so long as it's making money, then they'll keep making the films.
Well, I suppose that's the thing with the Fox. So the Fox-led films, so the X-Men films and Deadpool, in that they're not really doing the superhero film in the same way. So Logan was a step in a different direction, and Deadpool was a step in a different direction, so who knows? Could be good. Our third and final trailer for this week's episode is...
Titan. It just occurred to me that we do emoji clues every week.
Yes.
And I really should start picking trailers that are much easier to do as emoji clues. I have no idea how we're going to do Titan as an emoji clue, but it is a trailer that we watched this week, and it is something that we're going to talk about.
Yes, it is. So Titan starring...
Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington, who I believe... probably just left some of the prosthetics on from Bright and then walked into the set for this film.
No, you're thinking Joel Edgerton.
I'm thinking no.
Sam Worthington's, he's still got
Have I just been racist?
No,
to
he's still got his
actors?
prosthetics on from Avatar a good decade ago, or when that came out.
So, concept for this one is this seems to be a kind of high concept sci-fi film. Something has happened on Earth and half the population is going to be dead in like a year or so.
Yeah.
And they decide to start a new colony on Titan, which is one of Jupiter's moons.
Saturn's moon, maybe?
One of the moons of the super planets. As part of that, they decide to genetically enhance a select group of people, including our friend Sam Worthington. Yep. And things go wrong.
Yeah, so it starts out, I think it looks a little bit maybe Interstellar, a little bit Passengers, possibly a little bit Arrival. That's sort of like a high concept sci-fi near future. The world's sort of subtly different. People, it's all about relationships. And then they're doing like, okay, now it's military type boot camp training montages, and they're all getting sort of slightly stronger. Yeah, that's kind of fine. And then it goes species. Like suddenly Sam Worthington's wearing like a white morph suit, and he looks like one of the characters from Hellboy, the fish monster guy from Hellboy.
And he kind of looks like one of the engineers from Prometheus as well. The critters that are meant to like have established life on Earth millions of years ago.
Sure.
So he's kind of like very pale skin, very weird eyes, almost, they've done stuff with his face, prosthetics-wise as well. And
instead of doing the sci-fi, we're going to go into space, suddenly he's a monster that the military's hunting, and he's fighting back to protect himself and his family. And it's a very creature monster against the army kind of film. It took a really weird turn in there. I was kind of expecting something completely different.
But it's an interesting turn as well, because from what I can tell from the trailer, Sam Worthington's character seems to be the protagonist of the film.
Exactly, yeah.
But then he makes a complete 180 and becomes the antagonist.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a film that's actually done that.
I don't know. I'm not. Is he the antagonist? Because there's a line in there when he's just sort of like, we've spent $300 million genetically engineering. He's not a monster. We can't destroy him. And then like maybe it is just they want to kill him and he wants to survive. So he could be the protagonist from there on out. But
is it just me? But is $300 million not enough money to do what they did to him?
Maybe. Who knows? It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Austin Powers. $1 million. Like, this you're in 2000, or it's 97, I suppose, is when the first one. Globotech alone made almost $4 billion last year. $1 million's not a lot of money these days. I don't know, 300 million seems like the right large amount of money for a scientific research project.
It seems like something that should cost billions given what they're doing. But anyway, what do I know about science? We've dabbled only in the occult. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. He has a wife and a kid as well in it. So there may be, I'm assuming there's going to be a thing where
Harrison Ford's trying to protect his family from the monster.
That's right, yep. And yeah, it looks interesting. Sam Worthington hasn't done much lately,
He did a little bit of TV recently with like the Unabomber he was in.
Oh, okay.
He's done one or two Australian films here and there.
Yep.
But I mean, there was a point in 2006, 2007 where he did Avatar. He did the Terminator reboot.
Yes,
he was
it was 2007, I think.
yeah, Salvation. Or was it Salvation? Yeah, sure.
Terminator Salvation, yeah.
So he was the big action star who was up and coming. Signed on to do a whole bunch of Avatar sequels, and then kind of just fell away. Really, he wasn't in a whole lot for a long time.
I think James Cameron has been keeping him in cold storage for a while.
Exactly.
Because like James Cameron is like, yeah, we're making 3 more Avatar films, and we're sort of set for films until 2030 or something, because everyone loved the lore of Avatar so much that we just need to have that many more films.
Yeah.
But I think contractually, he's been in cold storage. So
cold storage in the Mariana Trench, and that's like James Cameron says he's going down there to do research, but it's just to retrieve Sam Worthington.
Yeah, because he wants. I think what's going to happen while he's down there is obviously he's in cold storage, so his skin's going to go naturally blue.
Exactly,
and the pressure differential down there is just going to naturally elongate all his limbs, so he won't have to be CGI'd and motion captured next time.
Not
he
at
will
all.
just be one of those blue alien things. What are they called? I don't know.
Who knows?
Hated that film.
White Sea. You're talking about Prometheus, right?
I was talking about Avatar.
Oh,
but
right.
yeah,
Okay. I thought it was like, again, white alien, blue alien.
Maybe the Titan is just a prequel to Prometheus, which is a prequel to Alien.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it's Titan is a prequel to Prometheus, which is a prequel to whatever the sequel to Prometheus was. Which
that already came out, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
That came and went, and I didn't even notice.
Didn't care. Which was a sequel to Alien, which was a sequel to Aliens, which was a sequel to Aliens 3.
Which is a prequel to Avatar. How does that fit? Or is Avatar the film that completes the cycle?
I think it does.
So you can actually watch Avatar as either the first film, and then watch the rest of them, or you can save it for the last film, and it all still makes sense.
James Cameron has got his own cinematic universe going, and it does include Avatar, it does include Aliens, and it does include the Terminator as well.
You are absolutely correct. Without a one single, like, he has done films in all of those franchises.
He has. Yeah.
And is responsible. Oh wow.
Yeah.
There has to be a fan theory that, like, I think we'll go on Reddit and see if we can find the fan theory that links all of James Cameron's films.
He also directed Piranha 2 back in I think the late 70s or the early 80s. So tie that in there as well.
All right, so we've got our 3 trailers for this week.
Yes, we do.
There's ideas percolating, bubbling away.
So many of them. So let's recap what we've got. So we've got a
nostalgic, kiddish, animated film.
Mm-hmm.
We have a superhero. Let's just call it. It's just a superhero film. We can do our own spin of it. This is the irreverent, tongue-in-cheek, self-referential superhero
breaking the
film.
Fourth wall, kind of. Yeah,
and then we have
superhero.
the near future sci-fi creature film.
Yeah, sci-fi horror, sci-fi thriller, maybe creature film. Yeah.
So I believe last week I chose. So this week, you get to pick which of those 3 film genres we're going to do. I'll give you a moment to percolate on it as we walk to the green room, and we'll have your answer when we get there.
Right after this.
All right, which one will it be?
I mean, first, just let me bask in the green. I have painted it all now.
I mean,
it's nice.
Yeah.
So initially, I was thinking, and I think we should actually go for this, but a nostalgic kids classic stop motion animated film.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, the other 2 are very movie film studios in that they're going to be high energy, high action films, but the public is on such a high from Steel Chalk, or they will be when we finally get around to releasing it. That, like, we need to diversify our portfolio to get the biggest number of people into the cinema to watch the widest variety of films.
Here's the thing. I mean, Steel Chalk is going to be rated at the very least like an MA 15+,
exactly.
right? Or even possibly a hard R in the US. So we need something to counterbalance that for the US release schedule.
Exactly.
So we can't just release another R-rated film. That's too many. So
kids nostalgic animated film.
So I like the idea of basing it around stuff that doesn't usually communicate, or stuff that can't communicate in languages that we understand. So in the same way that Wes used dogs, which we can't usually understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should also center or ground our film around a creature or an object or something that doesn't usually speak.
Yep, okay.
Or doesn't communicate in a way that we understand.
See, while you're thinking about that, the characters and the world, I'm actually stuck on the animation style.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I'm going... I mentioned the Super Marionette. I watched a documentary about Thunderbirds, which is really interesting.
Yep.
And then obviously all the bonus features for Team America, and you realize that the technology for Team America to be much more seamless than it was there.
Yep.
But they decided to sort of lean into
Keep
that
it cheap,
animation
yeah.
style. Robot Chicken does a really kind of neat thing where they take action figures and do stop motion animations of that.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of really sort of cool animation styles out there.
Yeah.
I think potentially what we choose to do, which animation style we choose, might inform which inanimate object or which creature type we lean into for the story. So
there's a thought going through my head right now about the animation style, and what I want to do is, I love the Thunderbirds aesthetic. I love that, like, you can see the strings and you can see that they're kind of floppy and dangling around, but I want to blow that up to a larger scale. So I want to put human actors into suits that are then tied. We then tie strings to their limbs, and we puppeteer actual humans in suits.
yes, absolutely. It looks a little bit Crash Test Dummy-ish.
Yes.
In my mind. And there's this weird push and pull, but literally, as both the puppeteer and the actor try and assert their dominance on the character.
Yeah.
So you have these very sort of bipolar characters, because they're not necessarily always in the right mood or the right action.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting there. So what then leads to that? Actually, I think I've got it. I think it's insects, right?
Yep.
Because I say there's a push and pull,
Yep.
but a lot of the time there has to be that symbiotic relationship.
Yes.
Because while the actors can control 4 out of the 6 legs, the puppeteers then are responsible for the other 2 as well.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
And so you have a combination of puppeteers and humans trying to control these sort of morph suit kind of things that are insects. And again, you mentioned it, I think, with this sort of like in mind of being 4-limbed, but the fact that they're now 6-limbed means these people they're coexisting as a character, and they have to work together.
Yes, indeed. All right, bugs it is, or insects. So if we're going to do insects, I think we should figure out a nice kind of setting for them. And I like the idea of like the grimy world of insects. So more of the intercity insect life.
Oh, right. Okay.
So not this sort of idyllic, like, paradise kind of style, because that's been done. I want to do gritty urban city bugs.
Right.
The kind of...
So you've got a bit of a Fievel, an American Tale, where it's just, the rat living in the sewer was promised a better life, but still has to sort of eke itself by.
Yep.
It's got some, again, Joe's Apartment is about a guy who lives in an apartment and makes friends with thousands of talking cockroaches. Just sort of spitballing here. In my mind as well, I've got the scene from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids where they're riding on the back of an ant with the piece of food to on the end of a stick to lure it forward.
Yep.
I really like this idea that we actually take a page out of Titan's playbook.
Yep.
And the world is ending, right?
Yep.
And it's a common known fact that cockroaches can survive a nuclear holocaust.
Yep.
But they, all the other insects are building a spaceship, an interplanetary ark.
Yep.
To escape because they don't have the cockroaches' power. So we set up the cockroaches as the capitalist overlords of this society.
Sure.
And then there's a bunch of other insects who are this sort of ragtag motley crew. And while you kind of get the sense that maybe they're going to go into space, the film isn't about that. It's about them trying to get the space arc off the ground. I'm actually getting flashes of Gattaca, where the last film is them sort of just boarding the spaceship. Potentially, who knows if they'll make it or not? Who knows? We do. We're not going to spoil it for you yet. They definitely do.
It is a kids' film.
It is, and so it's more of their interpersonal relationships as they try and navigate the politics of building the ship in secret from the cockroach overlords. I quite like that idea. That's sort of.
So the cockroaches are sort of in charge of, or sort of in control over natural resources as well.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of like this ragtag bunch of this motley crew of insects is raiding the sort of facilities of the cockroaches to steal these materials and resources that they need to build this ark to get off the planet. Because the cockroaches don't care, right? So the cockroaches are like, yeah, we're fine. We need all this stuff for when the nukes go off. And we're going to be the last ones here. So, don't even try to come and steal our stores.
Yeah.
But, we all just want life. Maybe that's the motto of this film. The moral is just like, we all want life. Let's just share it.
Well, I'm just thinking the opposite problem of the Wes Anderson is where they can build an entire city on a table and film it.
Yeah.
This is the opposite of where something which is normally quite small, we then have to build at human scale to fit our insect actor hybrid people in there.
And because we can't, we want it to have that kind of hand-built or handmade aesthetic as well. So we're going to have to make like giant cardboard houses. So
absolutely,
what looks like giant cardboard houses.
It looks like it's made out of corrugated card, but it is actually full human scale. And then I think there's that weird film technique where you like shoot with like a pinhole camera. And even real world stuff looks stop motion animated.
Great.
So it is the most difficult possible way of going about making something to look stop motion animated possible.
Most directors and filmmakers would say that actually doing stop motion animation is quite difficult.
Yes.
Right? Like you can only do a second's worth of footage in a day because it's like 24 frames a second. We are needlessly complicating it and making it even worse by shooting at such a huge scale and using actual people in suits who are being puppeteered.
Who are puppeteering. And then there's like the guy obviously using the marionette puppeteering to control legs, but you also have guys with remote controls who are doing the animatronic mandibles like to control the voicing and stuff like that.
And I would also say that the mouth movements just need to be like open, close, flappy, flap kind of, again, like Thunderbirds and like Team America, that kind of just like...
I think they actually have the technology where they can mic up the actors and use the waveforms to then artificially control the mandibles.
But see, that's why we're using real actors, because the real actors on set can actually act, and their dramatic mouth movements and their dramatic facial expressions are converted to our very simple puppets.
Absolutely nothing computer generated in this at all.
No.
Like even like we have to go to extreme lengths if you want the insects to blink. A lot of the time what they do now is they'll have practical effects, but little things like blinking and ear twitching they'll put in CG. We're going to build complicated membrane rigs to like make these things realistically look like they're blinking.
If we can get them to attach to the actor's eyeballs as well, so that when the actor blinks, the puppet version of it blinks
absolutely.
as well.
Little micro sensors on when the eyelashes touch together.
It's going to be really uncomfortable for them.
Exactly.
But,
the bee character who has its flapping membrane wings. Going to have to build some sort of jet propulsion to actually allow it to suspend off the ground.
Oh, okay. So it's not even going to be a like we hoist them up on a rig. Oh, so we want 100% no computer generate. So we can't even use like wires and then erase them in post.
No.
Oh, okay.
How are you going to erase wires in post without sort of digital effects?
Yeah. Okay. So fair enough.
You have to use jetpacks for all flying insects. Yeah,
of course. How are we going to hide the jet effects though?
Oh, well, that's just going to have to be clever framing. Because quite obviously, like the rest of the set is going to be blown away as jet engine propelled hot air is like streaming out the back, and this is going to be incredibly uncomfortable for the actor as well.
It's going to be a massive fire risk as well. Most of the set's made out of cardboard.
Exactly. No, it's not actually made out of cardboard.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
No, it's a fire resistant polymer that just looks like corrugated card.
Well, we're gonna have to make that polymer as well.
Yeah, we've got the R&D team working on it.
Oh, we have an R&D team.
Yeah, it's
right.
yeah,
it's just you, isn't it?
It is. It's me and my mum.
I keep it in the family. That's
exactly.
Nice. All right, let's figure out who our collection of insects is going to be.
Well, that's exactly. So we've got the bee.
We've got the bee.
And the ant, I think. The ant is the every insect, right?
Yeah.
When someone says, an insect has 6 legs, you just go, yeah, it's an ant.
It's an ant.
Because anything else is just like ant plus.
Yep.
Like, what's a bee? It's an ant plus wings and a stinger.
Yep.
And, because the ant, it doesn't have wings. It's just your base model. And then you have all the optional extras to add on top of insect ant base model to make all the special ones.
Yeah, you can customize them through a special website.
What's like a beetle? It's an ant with armor, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. Who needs all this sort of taxonomy Latin words
That's
for all this? Just think about it as ant plus something.
A stick insect is just a stretch ant.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
just been stretched out and dipped in green paint.
Grasshopper. It's just an ant with big jumpy legs.
All right, so
have we? I think we've just come up with our ensemble cast. We have ant, beetle,
Yep.
grasshopper, stick insect, and bee.
Okay, great.
This is actually feeling very James and the Giant Peach at the moment as well, which I really quite enjoy
it's
as
feeling
well.
a little Bug's Life as well, if I'm being honest. But definitely nowhere near it, though. Okay, great. We also need... So we've got some cockroaches as well as our antagonists.
Yeah.
Now, we really should give them... See, they can also be ants as well that have just gotten a bit dirty. And no, it's okay. Here's why cockroaches are nuke resistant. Because they were just ants once that got a little bit of nuclear exposure.
Yeah, genetically
and they're being mutated.
mutated, genetically
ants.
enhanced. Big flat ants.
Yeah, big fat brown ants.
Yeah, with wings, but they don't ever use to fly.
No, they sometimes do.
They sometimes do to freak you out.
Just to freak you out, yeah. Okay, great. So we need... How many of those antagonist cockroaches should there be?
I've already come up with the actor that I want to play the main lead cockroach.
Yeah. Who?
Dennis Quaid. For some reason, in my mind, he's the perfect big flat cockroach antagonist. I don't know why. But
I'm fine with that.
It's an absolutely perfect casting.
I think
and we just know he's
perfect.
not up to anything as well.
This is the thing too, all of our actors are going to have to be comfortable wearing these cumbersome suits that allow them some expression but nothing that's actually worthwhile, and then also being puppeted externally. I mean, how are we going to... They're going to have... All the appendages are going to have to be remote controlled as well, because we can't erase the strings.
No, we just paint the strings to camouflage him with the background.
With the background. Okay, great.
Yeah, because we can do that for some of for the legs.
Yep.
But when we have motion, big flying motion across the screen,
Yep.
it's much more difficult to mask. So.
Right. So we need... I reckon this film needs a nice chase scene in a canal.
Oh yeah.
In a kind of, or maybe a stormwater drain or something. So they all get on some kind of raft.
Yep.
Maybe like an old can. So we have to build a giant can-looking thing that they all sail down into a stormwater drain. Let's just say it's raining, it's a stormy night, so they're being tossed along. Cockroaches are actually flying.
Yeah.
So it becomes... Actually, it's turning into the Death Star trench run, is what it is.
Oh, that's a good one.
Insect style.
It is the final check. They have to get from point A to point B where their space rocket is.
Yep.
How are they shooting down the cockroaches? There has to be some sort of weaponized...
Yep. The initial thought was just the leftover beans in the can, so they've got limited ammo, so they're tossing those back.
Would a bean really wipe out? I'm thinking toothpick skewer.
Or
even you know how the butterflies are have the pin through them. In the museums
when they're dead.
Yeah, when they're dead. So the insects have sort of taken that to mean the most deadly weapon of all is a dress pin, and so all of their weapons fire these dress pins to skewer insects into the wall and stuff like that.
Oh, so they become kind of museum exhibits after that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So that's it, and they're racing to reach the place where their ark is.
Yeah.
There needs to be a sequence or there needs to be a bit where something is closing. They need to race there before the time runs out, because otherwise it's going to close the access to the ark.
Yeah. That's a perfect moment for one of the insects to do the self-sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
They're holding it open, letting everyone else through, and then realizing they're going to have to let themselves die to save the rest of them.
I think stick insect should do that.
I was going beetle in my mind, because he's the big burly guy, but I like stick insect propping open maybe they both do it. It's just no, I want to be the one who self-sacrifices to save the mission. No, I want to be the one who self-sacrifices to save the mission.
Maybe the entire film, they could be at each other's throats.
Yes.
And then this last moment is their redemptive point where they suddenly realize that because they're complete opposites of each other, right?
Exactly.
So one's short and stumpy, the other one's long, tall and slender.
Yeah.
They're always at each other's throats because they want to be the ultra burly hero of the group, but they keep one up each other and keep kind of screwing each other over. Then this last moment, the gate's about to close.
All right. we've got the character relationship, we've got their climactic scene. Who are these actors?
Who are these actors? Right. So we've got Stick Insect, we've got Bee, we've got Beetle.
No, I specifically just want to know Beetle and Stick Insect.
Beetle and Stick Insect.
The 3PO R2D2 sort of thing. It's a different relationship. I also, in my head, it's a little bit John Goodman and the dude, Jeff Bridges.
Yep, sure.
But we've can't. They were in.
We also need to think about physicality as well, because like the actors need to kind of fit their costumes.
Yeah.
So the two the two options I immediately thought of was Danny DeVito for the Beetle, and then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the basketball player, who is quite old now, should play the Stick Insect.
I think those guys would have been good in the 80s. We need to figure out who our modern day contemporary guys are. Who's the modern day Danny DeVito?
It's still Danny DeVito, honestly.
Isn't really, no one's doing Danny DeVito quite like Danny DeVito is.
I mean, Let's see, this is we do run into a slight issue because we are casting for physicality as well.
Yeah.
Because in terms of like shorter statured actors who are, quite popular, there's what's his name from Game of Thrones? And he was also in one of the
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage, yeah. And I like, because his kind of mannerism as well, he would play that kind of gruff...
Yeah, okay, perfect. Absolutely
get
perfect.
out of my face kind of personality. But he needs to go up against someone.
He's very hard-shelled, both sort of like figuratively and literally. Yeah.
So he needs to then go up against another actor who is... Again, I want to go back to Game of Thrones. What's her name? Who was also in Star Wars as well, playing Captain Phasma. She is... Gwendolyn Christie.
She is Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, she's incredibly tall.
Yes, she is.
And I feel like she could play the Stick Insect, and they could play... I don't know what their relationship is on Game of Thrones. I don't watch the show.
Have those... Oh, yeah, those characters have met, maybe. She has more of a relationship with his character's older brother, but that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, cool. I was thinking more Sigourney Weaver, because she's got that quite sort of tall basketball.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Gwendolyn Christie is the modern... Sigourney Weaver.
She is, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
So Peter Dinklage and Sigourney Weaver as Stick Insect and Beetle.
Yep.
So we need Bumblebee.
Yep.
We need Grasshopper.
Yep.
And then we need our main character of Ant.
Yep.
So if we go with the James and the Giant Peach thing, like the Grasshopper, you know how it rubs its back legs and it chirps?
Yep.
It's got that old sort of violinist feel to...
Yep.
Why don't we go somewhat similar but very different in like... electric guitarist.
Okay, yeah.
So like Grasshopper in this one is like this cool musician, and we trawl the world of musicians and actually sort of bring someone in who can play that character.
All right, so I immediately went to Slash from
again,
Guns N' Roses, but not
would have been good
enough.
You're almost casting.
I know.
If we're doing the remake,
Yeah.
you've told us what our cast was in the original, which was back in the 80s. What about Ed Sheeran? You reckon he's a good... Again, I think we're just casting from Game of Thrones. Ed Sheeran was in Game of Thrones as well. Maybe that's how we get interest. These obviously it's a kids' film, and they have absolutely no idea.
That's right.
So years later, when they go and watch Game of Thrones, because their parents finally allow them to watch that some adult themes and nudity content that HBO is so great, they'll recognize all of their favorite actors from their favorite kids' film now doing incredibly violent and horrific things to one another.
So we've got the dragon girl. She's
Amelia Clark.
Yep, that's her.
Yep.
So she can play Bumblebee.
I actually quite like her as Bumblebee. Yeah. It's a bit sort of like flitty, flighty sort of.
Yeah. And because like I know she's not blonde in real life, but in Game of Thrones she's white haired, isn't she? Or very, very
Daenerys
pale.
Stormborn she wears a very platinum blonde wig in that.
Bees are yellow.
Yeah, perfect. Flying around, occasionally fire sprouting out from...
Yeah, exactly.
But again, it's not supposed to, but...
Flying animals that have weapons, bees have stingers,
absolutely.
Dragons have fire. It's very similar.
It is absolutely very, very similar, which all that remains is ants.
Okay, I'm going to leave this one to you now.
I kind of want Sean Bean, but again, I think Sean Bean probably played Ant in the 80s version of the film.
Sean Bean played Ant in the 90s version of the film, when Sean Bean was doing all the action films and dying a lot.
Sean Bean's probably a bit too grizzled and old. You know who it is.
Who?
It's Kit Harington.
Yep.
Kit Harington as Ant.
Yeah.
Jon Snow he's got that.
Sure.
He did that very brief foray into high budget action films with Pompeii, and
Yes.
it didn't pay out.
Nope.
And now he's in also what is turning out to be an incredibly high budget kids film, and he will be playing our main role of Ant.
Yeah. Brilliant. I think that's our entire cast.
Does that mean we have to recast Dennis Quaid?
Well-
or can we just cross our fingers and go, please cast Dennis Quaid
Yeah.
in the final series of
Yeah,
Game
yeah.
of Thrones, guys? I know you want to.
That's what we're gonna have to do.
He was actually in Dragonheart with
Yeah.
the dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just say that we got confused and we thought Dragonheart
No,
was like a
you're not-
prequel to Game of Thrones.
You're not thinking big enough. We have to just now get Dennis Quaid cast in Game of Thrones.
Absolutely.
So it's not a thing where we hope they do it. No, we make sure they do it.
Or what we do is we break into the Game of Thrones archives
Yeah.
and we cut scenes from Dragonheart into the
Yeah.
archival
So-
footage of Game of Thrones and
No. We need to hack HBO.
Yes.
So I mean, Game of Thrones is not going to finish until what 2020 or something. Now they announced, or 2019 is
Really?
when the last season.
yeah.
So we're going to have to hack into HBO, look at their work in progress stuff, or wait until they're finished filming, digitally insert Dennis Quaid in there,
Yeah.
and then just release it.
and then somehow Sean Connery, I am the last one, somehow gets in there as well.
Oh, then we're going to have to cast Sean Connery in our film as well.
I mean, it's all right. No, I think just his version of the dragon, it being in Game of Thrones, I'd just be very happy with that.
I would be very happy.
I think, in fact, I'd really actually want to go through and just get all the footage of the dragons in Game of Thrones, and
Yep.
then just cut
in.
Sean Connery's lines from Dragonheart over the top. That'd be fantastic.
It would be completely fantastic. I would watch that. I think that's it. I think that's a wrap.
It is almost
oh no,
a wrap.
it's not a wrap.
And we
I'm
need-
sorry. I'm unwrapping as we speak.
Oh, we need a name for
We
the
need
film.
a name for this film. Yes. So we've got insects. We've got puppeteering. We need. I mean, the influence for this film is Wes Anderson,
Yep.
and he is a big fan of the kind of whimsical, unwieldy kind of names like the Grand Budapest Hotel, the
Darjeeling
Life Aquatic
Limited.
with Steve Zissou.
Zissou. Yeah.
So you kind of need. I think it needs a good mixture of like a rando weird name
Yeah.
with a whole heap of adjectives.
I think we need to quickly jump onto Wikipedia and find out what like the Latin name is for the order of like insects or something like that, like Insetidae or what? Again, I couldn't actually tell you what it is, but
Yeah, so like the curious case of the
Yeah.
something. Hang on. So we need to look at ant
yeah, sure.
because as we mentioned, all insects come from ants. Belong to the order Hymenoptera.
Hymenoptera, which means membrane wing.
There we go.
Sure, that's bees are Hymenoptera as well. I imagine all of them.
Beetles would be as well. They've got wings.
Yeah, sure. It's a very specific type of wing,
Yep.
but sure. So Hymenoptera is in there somewhere, which is great.
So I think you.
I kind of like the along the lines of the curious case of,
Yep.
or I think the word arc kind of needs to potentially make a appearance in there.
Yep.
Why not? We go with, you know how it's the Life Aquatic with
Yeah.
Steve Zissou.
Yep.
It's Flight of the Hymenopteric Arc.
Yep.
With why not just Flight of the Hymenopteric Arc?
Flight of the Hymenopteric Art. Yes. The
Or-
curious.
Why don't we just call it the Hymenopterics?
the Hymenopteric
Is the name of the spaceship.
Yep.
So it's the Flight of the Hymenopterics.
Yep.
And then, like, in a very sort of like Wes Anderson
Yeah.
brackets down the bottom.
A curious tale.
Yeah, a curious insect adventure.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yep.
Because insects don't have tails. Oh no, they do. No, what? I don't know my. It's head, thorax, and abdomen. Where's my biology taking me?
Wait, what's the name of this film again? The
Flight of the
Hymenopterics, in brackets, a curious...
I don't even know if I like the brackets anymore.
No, the curious flight of the Hymenopterics.
That is perfect. That's
There it is.
we knew curious had to be in
it
there
has
somewhere.
to be in there, because that's
The curious flight of the Hymenopterics
Yeah.
is the name of this very
Yeah.
not confusing at all
I
kids
think
film.
instead of a subtitle, we do need to have, in the same way that it's always sort of labelled a film by Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
It's a film by Isaac and AJ.
yeah,
And in the bottom and sort of in nice small font.
yeah. Very, very sans serif-y.
Futura is the font. that we
Futura?
want- Yes. That's
He's
the
a
font
very
we want to use.
right. Great.
I assure you that's the one. I think that's a wrap.
You're not sure Comic Sans? I quite like Comic Sans.
No, the title of the film will be in Comic Sans, but a film by Isaac and AJ will be in Futura.
All right, so the Curious Flight of the Hymenopteryx.
Yes.
A film by Isaac and AJ.
Yes, a stop motion, full scale.
A full scale stop motion film.
Yep.
By Isaac and AJ.
By Isaac and AJ. That is a wrap.
That is where we will put that to bed for now.
Okay. Housekeeping.
Housekeeping indeed. Again, you may have noticed we've changed up the format a little bit, and in doing so, the emoji clue game on Facebook has changed up a little bit.
Yep.
So every week now on a Monday, we'll be posting the clues for. I mean, at the moment it's been 3 trailers. I think 3 is quite a nice balance. See if you can guess all 3. At the moment, we're still running our 3 trailers from Steel Chalk, and Luke is in the lead with 1 out of 3 correct.
3, yeah.
Who can get the other 2? Who knows? Tuesday we'll be posting up the trailers for the films that we've watched, so you can watch them in anticipation for our Wednesday podcast release.
Indeed. You can find all that on Facebook as well. We are on the web. We are moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our previous episodes, some bios of us, and some other bits and pieces, including a list of every single film we've ever released
With
on our
synopses and actors and plots and
all sorts of stuff. We're on Twitter, but please don't go there because we don't really do anything on Twitter.
One day.
Unless
small social media steps.
Yeah. If you are curious about Twitter, we are at Moviefilm Studio. No studios. We are on Podbean, we're on iTunes, and we are on pretty much any other platform where you get podcasts except for SoundCloud and except for Stitcher. So don't go there because they're not there and they never will be. Well, they might be there one day, but they're not there now.
Exactly. I think it's SoundCloud and Stitcher are only for podcasts that get sponsored by Squarespace and Audible and all those other media platforms. One day we'll have advertisers who pay us to do this, but until then, it's just our own creative juices flowing.
We have to make do with the profits we make on our films instead.
Yeah,
until we get that lucrative podcasting money.
Everyone knows that's where the retirement fund really is.
Yep. I think that's it.
I think that is all. All that remains to be said is to thank you all for listening again this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.
Watch